With technology in the palm of our hands, the world is getting smaller. As a result, college grads need to have a broader understanding of diverse views in order to excel in their chosen fields. Today on Campus Conversations, we'll discuss humanities in higher education.
Hi, I'm Jason Rivera, and this is Campus Conversations. There's a strong push in higher education to create graduates that, in addition to becoming experts in their fields, have a well-rounded understanding of the world. And that means studying the humanities. Meryl Gavernsky is in Germantown with more.
We hear the term humanities all the time and that they are essential to a complete college education. But I wanted to know, what are the humanities and why are they so important? So I spoke to one woman who knows all about the subject.
Technically, the humanities include disciplines like English, history, philosophy, religious studies, many of the ethnic studies, cultural studies, global studies, international studies. Some of them are disciplinary, like English. Some of them cross-disciplines, like women's studies or ethnic studies. The humanities are really an important part of the larger tapestry of American higher education. It's actually impossible to imagine that you could be well educated without preparation and background in the humanities, whatever you're majoring in. All students need a strong foundation in the humanities. They help us explore the values that matter to us as a society and as individuals.
Dr. Schneider visited Montgomery College to speak to faculty and students about the humanities in community colleges.
So why does this matter for an institution where a lot of students are looking to college to prepare them for their first job or their next job? Because in today's economy, the name of the game is to be able to keep adapting our practices, our services, our products to a very fast changing world. They teach us how to ask all the questions that need to be part of workplace decision making, thinking, and judgment. Employers are the first to say, do not send us graduates who are locked into mental cubicles. They will be left behind. We are changing fast. If they can't change with us, they simply won't have a future in our enterprise. They might be qualified for the first job, but they won't be qualified for the jobs that we're still inventing as we go forward.
I know you all in the studio plan to talk a lot about this subject, so I'll send it on back to you. For Campus Conversations, I'm Meryl Gavernsky in Germantown.
Thank you, Meryl, and what better way to continue this conversation about the humanities than for me to welcome in three esteemed professors from Montgomery College. First, we have Professor Rita Krunitis. You are the director of the Global Humanities Institute and a professor of English. And next to your right, we have Professor Mary Fergel, and you are the director of the Montgomery Scholars Program and a professor of history. And last but not least, Professor Marcia Bronstein, you are a professor of English and you're in charge of the Global Humanities Institute's learning communities. So I want to thank you for being here. And before we get to the Global Humanities Institute and you, Rita, I'm going to throw this one out to you two professors, Professor Fergel and Professor Bronstein. Let's break down the word humanities at its core. If to the layperson, or if somebody's flipping past Channel 10 and they see us talking about this, what would you define humanities as? It's got to be more than what does it mean to be human?
Yes, absolutely. In many ways, the humanities, each culture has tried to explore the human condition through language, through literature, through philosophy, through history. And in some ways, it's a bit like this show, actually. You know, the cameramen, the camerawomen have a perspective on what we're doing. You have a perspective on what we're doing. We have one. The viewer at home. And each of those perspectives is different. Using the humanities, we explore those differences. It used to be that some perspectives were privileged over others, but over the last few decades, more and more people have come to the table to explore their perspectives from their vantage, their viewpoint. And that's what the humanities enables us to do.
Professor Bernstein?
And the disciplines involved would be the literature, the study of literature, the study of art history, philosophy, history, linguistics. I wanted to take a slightly different angle and tell you that 100 years ago, Andrew Carnegie said that the humanities were literally worthless. And this debate continues today. If you know, monthly there's something in the Times or the Chronicle about the relevance of the humanities in higher education in particular, in an increasingly vocationalized higher education. However, studies show, especially among employers, that the skills that the humanities foster, critical thinking, communication, what's called perspective taking, which means you can appreciate the world deeply from a variety of perspectives, are exactly those things that employers want, and not just a narrow set of skills.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Well,
and what the historian can do with that, Andrew Carnegie, I have to leap to defence and say
You would.
is that if the historian looking at him and looking at his poverty would understand why he would later take a very pragmatic approach to education.
Exactly.
Thank you for that.
Well, we have a 30-minute show that we're trying to prove or disprove, Mr. Carnegie. Let's get to the Global Humanities Institute, and your mission statement begins with to promote a global perspective.
Yeah.
And now, if anybody knows anything about Montgomery College, it is quite global.
Yeah.
Okay. With diversity, and not just the skin color, but the social differences that go on at our college. Talk to us about how that could be a perfect catalyst for launching the Global Humanities Institute, and how did that, or how did the Global Humanities get off the ground?
Yeah. Well, a couple of years ago, some of us got together to apply for a grant to the National Endowment for the Humanities. And the purpose of the grant was to bring global perspectives to our college. So this means a number of different things. It means creating courses, changing existing courses. It means faculty training. It means changing the culture of the college so that we are more concerned about what's happening in the world, and we're thinking and teaching about what's happening in the world. And so we do a number of different things all at once. We have fellowships for faculty, for example, and Marcia is running one of them. We have bring expert speakers. We tap the expertise of our faculty at the college, and we bring a great many events to the student body that make them more aware. Now, global humanities doesn't mean we're going to read the literature of Asia.
Right.
It means that we engage with the culture of Asia, the texts of Asia, consider our positioning in the world as we study Asia. It's a very dynamic process.
You're not leaving the discipline of literature.
Absolutely, which is very, very crucial, because we really get to know one another through the humanities. I mean, these are the very personal voices that we convey. And I like to say that the humanities are a way of speaking to each other.
Okay. Very good.
And beyond our differences.
And I'm going to throw this question out. We discussed it a little bit before we started this today. But there are two schools of thought here, and you guys can just jump in when I say this. Going to college for a career and going to college to learn. And it sounds so elementary, you know, in the definition of those, but it is a very, very wide spectrum of thoughts. Just, I guess, talk a little bit about that.
Well, I can speak on the study that I alluded to before, and say that both of those are actually fused together. That learning a career must involve learning in the deep sense that the humanities foster. 81% of employers recently surveyed of companies of 200 or more people, so several hundred companies were surveyed with many employees. Say 81% say critical thinking and analytical reasoning skills are important. 2/3 say understanding of the global context of situations and decisions are important. So, it's not only the humanities, but it's internationalized humanities that are considered essential by employers.
And also I would add to that global awareness of other cultures, and also sympathy, and empathy towards those other cultures, which it didn't used to get articulated so much, but now it's
now it is. Half of employers want their employees to have foreign language proficiency. I mean, it can't be that, you know, that half of those companies need them to speak it, but that it's valued.
Of course. And Mary, how do you interject this into the courses, and maybe some of the courses that you're trying to do this on?
Well, in history in particular, my own discipline, it's actually incredibly easy because the emphasis has been so much more on social history over the last few decades, and on looking at the different perspectives of those who are in the working class, those who are female, those who are were often before considered the other. And so, to give a specific concrete example, in many of the courses that may be European history or world history, to make sure that it's not a component that's separate dealing with the other, but the other is integrated throughout. And you can actually do that very easily, because you'll find in every culture examples of beauty, examples of compassion, examples of hate, examples of strife, and it's actually quite easy.
And also how cultures intersect, right?
Yeah,
how they
absolutely.
sort of rub against each other and influence each other. That's part of the whole global perspective.
And can I
Go
say
ahead,
something?
Marcia.
I would say that it's not only this important content that we're talking about, but the teaching methodology. Your classroom, you need to teach in a way so that multiple voices can be heard, so that perspectives are respected.
Yeah.
And you know, if your class is a place where different perspectives are shared.
Which takes us back to what you said before about we have such a diverse student population. Now it's our challenge to learn how to make space in our classrooms for those voices and those experiences to enrich the teaching and learning experience.
Well, our 10-minute conversation has suddenly come down to 1 minute, and I'm going to give it to you for the final question, Rita. Where does the Global Humanities Institute fit in the learning, in the future learning of Montgomery College students? Do you see it?
Oh, wow.
I know that's a hard question to ask when we have people
courses.
tell us
Okay,
to hurry.
quickly. Okay, so we're creating new courses so that we have new material to teach. We are changing courses so that we have this more global, broader perspective. We are incorporating service and experiential learning. We are partnering with nations abroad. With China, we have a partnership with a university in China, El Salvador, and we're partnering with India soon, so that we can have maybe, well, our goal is virtual co-teaching. And so our students will be working with students in India, for example, in the same virtual classroom. Things like that. Faculty and student exchanges in the future as well.
Well, that's fantastic, but I'm sorry I have to cut this short. We could go for another hour, but I want to thank all of you for being with us today on Campus Conversations. We're going to take a break, but when we get back, we're going to rejoin Jason in the studio where he's going to talk about the Paul Peck Humanities Institute at Montgomery College.
Welcome back. With me now is Sarah Ducey, the director of the Paul Peck Humanities Institute at Montgomery College. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
Tell me, what is the Paul Peck Humanities Institute?
You know, we're a really unique part of Montgomery College, started in 1998 by Dr. Myrna Goldenberg. She was a remarkable professor here at the college who put together many of our programs, including our Center for Teaching and Learning and our Women's Studies program. She wrote a grant, started this program, and here was what she wanted to do. She wanted to create a program to help our faculty work with the Smithsonian Institution to teach our students. And that program has become our signature program called the Smithsonian Faculty Fellowships Program. And we serve 10 to 12 faculty members every single year. They take time to learn how to use museums. We go down into the museums. We actually get behind scenes sometimes and look at bones or learn about the history of African American experience here in the United States or Native American experience from curators at the museums. And then our faculty take what they've learned about their exhibits, take their students down to the museums and do assignments based on that. This sort of integrated experience of having classroom teaching linked to museum exhibits and objects, what we call artifacts, if you will, has been a really wonderful way for students to think in making networks and connections between the various experiences they have. They also write about it, and they can better tell the story about it. And part of what the humanities really are about being able to capture stories and to be able to communicate. That's our signature program.
Okay. Do you have other programs specific to students?
We do. We have, I think, a truly unique program, which is an internship that we have with 3 different groups downtown. We have the Library of Congress, the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, and the Smithsonian Institution. And we have agreements with each of these institutions to place students for what we describe as an academic internship.
Okay.
And an academic internship is actually quite different from just that you just say, I'm going to go every day for the summer vacation. What we do is we have them do their internship service, which is about 2 days a week during a regular semester, 240-hour service. And they take a 3-credit course back here at Montgomery College. And again, it's about making these connections, about making observations, learning. Our students often are doing research for those institutions. That research then becomes a part of their academic work here. They're working with a professor here as their personal mentor who actually helps them with this 3-credit course. They will write somewhere around 35 or more pages related to the experience they've had, so they journal. They do research, they're writing annotated bibliographies, and then they write a research paper. At the institution, they're doing what the institution needs, oftentimes very much tied to the research of a scholar. So it's just a remarkable opportunity for our students. What we're really excited about is when we see that these students then go on to submit papers for publication or for competition. For example, the Beacon program, that's one of the writing competitions. We also have Maryland Collegiate Honors Council presentations. We have students that do that each year. And so we've really allowed the students to grow really fast in their academic experience and to be better able to tell their own story. And these students go on to get higher scholarship awards when they transfer. They transfer to more higher status, if you will, stronger programs. And we're just really proud to see the way that they grow. And this internship really is a part of that growth.
Sounds like a remarkable academic opportunity for our students. How do they actually learn about and apply for the internship program?
Well, so this is a competitive scholarship, if you will, because we actually give them a stipend to help pay for the course. So it's a scholarship-supported program. The students have to be honors eligible, so they have to have a high GPA, and in our case, it's a 3.4 overall GPA.
So you said honors eligible. They don't have to be in the honors program, just honors eligible.
We want it to be as open as possible. There are people who would have an honors GPA, but don't happen to be in our honors program. But this is a really wonderful collaboration between Paul Peck Humanities Institute and the honors program to offer this course. And the students then will hear about it. We do campus meetings where we'll sort of, tell you all about it, get people interested. They have to write an essay. It is competitive, so they have their GPA with the transcript. They're going to have 2 letters of recommendation from our own professors. And then they have to write an essay. And the essay is, again, an opportunity for them to write, to capture information and their own story effectively.
Now, I know you wanted to tell me about the Holocaust commemoration project that goes on.
Yeah, so one of the other things that we do every single year is to offer our annual Holocaust commemoration. This is an opportunity for us to involve as many students as possible in telling the story about the Holocaust. We often have a Holocaust survivor come to speak. We always have student musicians come. We have students that may do readings of the biographies of people who were either injured or lost in the Holocaust. It's a very special thing that we do each spring.
So how do students get to take advantage of those types of opportunities?
So we actually rely on our faculty a lot for that. Sometimes a professor who teaches something that's related to history or culture or sociology or international affairs, these kinds of courses, the faculty may say, why don't we all meet at this? It's an evening event. It's very well attended. It's a really special event. It's incredibly important to our mission.
Yeah, it sounds like just all the opportunities that are coming to the Paul Peck Humanities Institute are transformative for our students. Really exciting.
That is our mission, is to bring the humanities into as many arenas as we can.
Okay. We've got about 30 seconds left on camera. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with related to the Paul Peck Humanities Institute before we move on?
Well, I would just say look for our programs, participate to the extent that you can, come to our Holocaust commemoration each spring, and look for us on the web, montgomerycollege.edu/humanities.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Those internships offer MC students a one-of-a-kind experience. When we return, we'll be joined by a student who can attest to that.
No matter where you're headed, no matter what your age, you'll find it all here at Montgomery College. Small class sizes, flexible scheduling, over 130 programs of study, award-winning faculty, nationally ranked NJCAA athletics. The possibilities are endless at Montgomery College. Register today.
Welcome back. Joining us now is Chris Williams, who participated in the Paul Peck Humanities Institute internship program. Hi, Chris, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell me, what's been your experience with the Paul Peck Humanities Institute?
It's been amazing. I started back actually at the end of spring semester last year, and over the summer I applied to the Paul Peck Humanities Institute, the program, not really knowing what to expect, because at the time I was a cybersecurity major.
Okay.
And these are traditionally research-based sciences and liberal arts, and so we really didn't know what to expect. First I had to get accepted, and then when I got accepted, we were trying to figure out how to place me in one of the three programs, the Library of Congress, the Smithsonian, or the Holocaust Museum. And Paul Peck Humanities Institute really, they worked with me and found me a spot at the Library of Congress to use my skills in a way that benefited me.
So what was your experience like? What were the benefits, in your view, of participating in the Library of Congress internship?
So I think it's kind of twofold. I had two advisors for the program.
Okay.
I had one from Montgomery College once I got accepted to the program, and they introduced me to the Chief Information Security Officer at the Library of Congress, Sean Lang. And he was fantastic. He worked with me, brought me on board, kind of showed me the projects they're working on, what they're doing, and he gave me stuff to do. And then back at school, taking the course along with the internship, I had academic advising, and so I had people helping me along the way with writing a research paper and that sort of thing.
Excellent. Now, Sarah, you've also have other students who participate, and you wanted to tell us about, is it Shelton?
Yes, Shelton Fitch. He went through the program in spring of 13, and he was placed at the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum. And he did his service there. It was really a profound experience for him. What he has told me is that one of the most important aspects of it was his ability to sit and talk with Holocaust survivors. So in addition to the work that he was doing with visitor services, where he would lead student groups around, help with meeting and greeting and doing other museum studies kinds of experiences, he was also sitting and talking with Holocaust survivors and learning about their stories. He had a really amazing experience there, and as a part of that, he has actually helped us here at the Paul Peck Humanities Institute with a variety of Holocaust-related programs since then. He has come back since transfer to help us with two programs, and I'm really pleased to say that he's currently a student at GWU
Very nice.
in Washington, studying international studies.
Excellent. Which brings me back to you, Chris. What are you doing now, and how are you using the experiences that you gained from the experience with the Library of Congress?
So my field is kind of unique in that they put an emphasis on either professional experience, or there's always been kind of a what you know as opposed to where your degree came from. And so the opportunity at the Library of Congress was unique in that I got to work with very expensive software that isn't necessarily available to the public. And so it's
That's
really
pretty cool.
valuable. Yeah, it's really valuable to say that you have some hands-on experience with that. But it came along with professional networking, and I got to work on the whole academic side too, which is important because a lot of people in my field, it's easy to forget that side.
Right. If I could just interject, one of the things that we're particularly excited about in Chris's experience is that he's really taken a non-traditional, for our program, field and woven it together with this more reflective experience. He wrote journals, and then he's written research paper, and I think it might be fun to hear about the presentations that he'll be doing soon.
That's exactly where I was going next. So tell me, you've got some presentations coming up.
Yeah, so kind of in my non-traditional approach, I have had the ability to take some honors courses too. And so first weekend of March, I will be presenting at the Maryland Collegiate Honors Council 2 presentations. One on my experience at the Library of Congress and the internship and how Peck Humanities Institute helped me, and another one on a course that I took in the fall session called To Infinity and Beyond, which was a course on the relationship between infinity and the mathematics side, philosophy.
Way over my head.
Also art, yeah.
Well,
Way
so
over my head.
the program he's talking about, this course, is actually 2 courses together, am I right on that? Or is it a single course?
No, it wasn't a dyad. It was the fall semester, so it was the 1 credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interdisciplinary look.
Excellent, excellent. So we've got about 1 minute left.
Okay.
What I would like you to do is share with us where you're going next. What are your plans?
Okay. So I've actually been really fortunate. Since the Library of Congress, I think it's opened up a lot of doors for me. Just yesterday, actually, I heard I was invited to UMBC to do an interview for a scholarship there. And I should find out, hopefully this Friday, on whether or not I'm going to go down to George Washington to interview for a scholarship there. Both of them are cyber security related.
Excellent. Sounds like you've got some promising opportunities coming up. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We're going to take a short break. When we return, Marcus will join me on the set to wrap up this discussion about the humanities in higher education.
Check out more Montgomery College programming at youtube.com/Montgomery College and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Montgomery College TV.
Marcus, we've been talking about the humanities, and I can see how it's really a huge benefit and value to higher education.
Yeah, Jason, the word humanities, and then you put it on a global perspective, it really is sort of a microcosm of what Montgomery College really is. I mean, it is the epitome of Montgomery College. Last fall, we had 164 countries represented at the college, and you have Ethiopia and Cameroon and Korea really, high up on that list. But it's not just the students. I mean, you can obviously look around and see that this is an international campus, but it's also the staff, it's also the faculty. And if you go back to really what Dr. Schneider said, it was talking about placing well-rounded, worldly educated graduates into jobs that are changing by the second.
Right.
I mean, and our world is changing by the second. And she used a term that said, you put yourself in a mental cubicle. So I know my math, I know my English, but there's a lot more to this world, and that's where we start to talk about the humanities on a global perspective. And then you come back and you bring it down to what Sarah Ducey was talking about, and Chris, who was on earlier, about the Peck Humanities Institute, and that's really at its core. I mean, you're putting students and you're putting faculty in some of the most amazing organizations in the entire world, Smithsonian, Library of Congress. So these are launching points, or launching pads, if you want to say it that way, into some of the most prominent four-year schools for our students. So it's really reaching many, many, many parts of this world, but we're really doing it here at Montgomery College.
It's really a great opportunity for our students. I'm so impressed. From all of us here at Campus Conversations, thanks for watching.